Hello and welcome to our Research Update webinar series brought to you by the SATB2 Gene Foundation. I'm joined today by Dr. Yuri Zarate of Arkansas Children's Hospital. He's going to review his research on the topic of SATB2 associated syndrome in adolescents and young adults.
All right, well, thank you again for the invitation. And I wanted just today to talk about this recent paper that we had for the care of adolescents and adults. As you all know, based on your own care and interactions with other families, most of the individuals that we know with SAS are probably in the younger age group. So it's always hard to know what is going to happen. So with that in mind, we wanted to collect data on the older individuals, including teenagers and, again, of course, adults, to be able to provide more answers. So with that in mind, we had a few questions that hopefully we'll be able to answer through the study. So today I wanted just to review those results. Now, I would say that, again, everything I'm telling you is based on what parents have reported. We sent a variety of surveys, and this is what they told us. Not to be negative or not to paint a picture that is not promising or whatnot. Just keep that in mind, that things now might be slightly different as far as how interventions and communication devices and whatnot, those are probably going to change the landscape 20 years from now. As far as when your kid now might be an adult later, it might be different than what I'm presenting, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, so we had 49 individuals total. You see the average age was close to 20 years. We had participants from 11 different countries. And you see the breakdown here by age. So again, 25 of the 49, so roughly half of them were in that 12 to 17 group. The other half were 18 and older, including 5 individuals that were older than 30. So, again, good mix. And then you see the breakdown as far as the gender, slightly a few more males than females. All right, so and here's the collage of photos from the participants. Again, thank you all for providing us with data. And this photo is also included in the manuscript. So again, I'm going to highlight some of the things that we found. That the actual paper is relatively simple to read, not as complex as some of the other papers. It has a lot of information, a lot of data, tables and whatnot. So I'm going to highlight some of the things that people often ask me about. So as far as we'll start with education. So if we keep it, 18 and older, which is about half of the participants, 80% of them had finished high school or the equivalent special education. If we think of employment ages, 16 and older, up to 29 participants that were 16 or older, only one of them had been employed at some point. So the majority had not been employed thus far. As far as the medical issues, just to give you a couple of summary points, about 60% reported that the health status was excellent or very good. The most common medical problems were related to teeth. 45% of the participants reported being on at least one medication for any medical problem. So any of them, nearly half of them were on some medication. Important to know, and this is something I get asked frequently as far as life expectancy and if anybody has had cancer or whatnot. So at least out of these 49, nobody had had cancer. Nobody had an unfortunate early event mortality-wise. So if you look at the frequency of all problems, it's illustrated here, and we actually try to separate the 12 to 17 and then the 18 and older group to see if there was some medical problems, and the same with mental health when we talk about it, if there were some differences in the younger versus older individuals. And we found a couple of things. Again, as I mentioned, teeth problems were the most common problem. And then what you see here is that hypotonia, which is a low muscle tone, is more common early, which makes sense. Constipation was more common in the older individuals, which again is the blue column here. Bone issues, which is this osteopenia, which is the low bone density, that was much more common in the older individuals. So there's kind of an age effect kind of thing. Reflux, as in gastroesophageal reflux, was more common early on, which makes sense. Scoliosis, again, was more common later, similar to the bone. So as individuals age, we think that, again, bone issues, either bone density or scoliosis, will be more frequent, is basically the message here. So a variety of things, again, mostly making emphasis on the dental problems, and again, the differences between the age groups. As far as speech and communication, again, the summary, in general, the majority of individuals had better receptive language skills, so ability to understand, and very often were able to communicate their needs in nonverbal ways. What we did see is that there's difficulties with speech across all ages. So again, you guys see it earlier, and basically the older individuals still have speech difficulties, is basically what I'm telling you. And about 80% or so use gesture as the main ways to communicate. So similar graphic here. So you have the younger individuals in green, the older individuals in blue, and now I added the total here in orange. So again, if you concentrate on the right side here, a minority was able to speak 50 words or more. So the rest of the individuals had less than that, is what I'm saying here. And we broke it down into ability to read, how they communicate with either gestures or their communication devices. And again, this is the verbal part of it, kind of thing. As far as the mental health, sleep, and independence, roughly a third of individuals had anxiety or ADD, 30% or so had OCD tendencies. And we asked, if they needed medication for their mental health problems. About a third of them was on some type of medication for mental health purposes. Again, not the medical part, but now the mental health part. 75% reported sleeping difficulties. And one of the questions I get asked often is the potty training part, as far as when does it happen? Does it even happen? So we were able to ask families, okay, when was your child completely potty trained by, kind of thing. So roughly 60% of them were completely potty trained on average at 7 years of age. But like everything else, there's a range. Some that were potty trained early, some that were potty trained later. And as far as the frequency of mental health issues, again, same kind of breakdown here, green for the younger individuals, blue for the 18 and older, orange for the total. So again, autism was 45% or so at the time reported. But I wanted to highlight just a couple things here. So you don't see any green here, 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 or here. So the younger individuals, per our data, did not appear to have either bipolar, schizophrenia, or depression, nor did they need to be in a mental health facility, the ones that, again, provided data to us, which gives you an idea that maybe it's a problem that happens with age. Again, just like some of the other medical issues we were talking about, that perhaps some of this more significant mental health issues tend to be present. If they're to be present, they are present at a later adulthood kind of stage in life. So we highlight that. And again, I've mentioned the frequency for some of these other things, anxiety, ODD, OCD, and the problems with sleep. So in summary, adolescent and adults with SAS, we found that they have a variety of medical issues. And again, dental problems, teeth problems was the most common one. We did find that there was a high frequency of developmental impairment. And, I mentioned things with sleep, behavior, mental health issues, combination or of them. And we did find that most of the individuals with SAS did need some degree of assistance for their daily living. There were some that were more independent than others, of course, but all of them, again, for the most part, needed some degree of help with the day-to-day routine. And again, in our actual paper, we broke it down even more as far as what that means, as far as what specific activities. And I highlighted a couple of things that appear to be dependent on age. So for the older group, there were some problems that were not present in the younger group and vice versa. All right, well, and with that, I wanted to thank all the families that help us collect this data. And of course, if you have any questions, I think you'll have my email, but feel free to reach out to me, or Katie actually is familiar with all this data as well. And thank you very much.